Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. Hi, I'm Ralph Lavella.
And I'm Ron Sen. Tonight we have an interesting show, and we're going to start off by talking about decision making. It's not clear what goes into good decision making, but it's very clear there's a certain paradox at work. On the one hand, you have the rational decision maker, the cold, calculating logician who decides based on height, weight, speed, jumping ability, quickness, etc. And on the other hand, you have psychology, the intersection of ego and emotion. I know better than everybody else. I don't have to listen to anybody else. And not only that, they're better. Can't you see? I know they're better. And that's what really occurs at the crux of coaching, trying to blend logic with who plays best, not only individually, but as part of the team.
Right, nowadays, Ron, all coaches, especially in pro and college, they're all set basically. In this situation, we're going to do this. In this situation, we're going to do that. Look at relief pitching. You talk it over before the game. Okay, if we have to put in long relief, this person's going in. He's been rested. Short relief, this person's going in. No matter what, I don't care how good the setup man is. We bring in the closer, even though he may be slumping. It's all basic. I mean, they've been working on that for years now. I would say over the last 5 years, that's the way baseball has gone, Ron.
Right. And yet, if we look back, Red Auerbach was one of the first who said, I don't put the 5 best players on the floor. I put the 5 best players who play well together. And sometimes I think we get into this formulaic, well, when we talk about U.S. Olympic basketball, sometimes you have guys on the floor who may not be one of the 5 best players, but God knows Kevin Love has been terrific in the Olympics.
Yeah, you look at that with Chesky. I talked to you yesterday about it. We were talking about the difference between the women's basketball in the Olympics and the men's basketball in the Olympics. The women's basketball is so much better to watch, Ron. You watch the men, they don't need a coach. What they're doing now is they're coming down, they're not setting any picks, they're not running plays. They're relying on defense. If they don't get the turnovers, they move the ball around the perimeter. Who's ever open for the three-point shot takes it. They've had 2 games this year where they've almost taken 53-pointers, Ron. Nigeria, where they were hitting everything. And the other night against Lithuania is another one. And then Australia, they took 40-something shots.
Well, we can be thankful that we have the Olympics because that spares us from watching the Red Sox most nights, which has become beyond painful. It's almost like they turn the television to the Red Sox games in prisons and add extra punishment for the inmates.
Yeah, you know what's funny though, Ron? I talk to people in work. Some of them are watching the Olympics. Some say, yeah, I watched a little here and there. I think I've watched just about every event in the Olympics. I mean, I just love it. I tape it, especially at night, tape it for the 3 or 4 hours. And if I miss it, I'll watch it the next day.
Well, first, we'll talk about different areas that have been highlights for us. A lot of people talk about beach volleyball. Everyone's excited that Kerry Walsh and Misty May won their 3rd gold medal. I want to jump off to the other side. My wife's always saying, it's terrible that they make them wear those small bathing suits. And the point is, they do not require that they wear those. They can wear the tights, they can wear shorts. There's no mandate that you have to wear a small bathing suit to play beach volleyball. The athletes say, number one, most of them are tall, thin girls from California, have won it ever since they were 8 years old playing beach volleyball, so they're not going to change. Number two, if you have shorts on rolling around in the sand, you get sand in your shorts and that doesn't feel too good. Number three, it probably doesn't hurt their chances for getting endorsements and things like that to be more marketable, as it were. And finally, this is something totally bizarre that I heard today. The sand used in Olympic beach volleyball is some special sand. It's not just sand, they bring in sand. It's some special manufactured sand that's ground to a certain consistency so it doesn't stick to the players or the ball.
Oh, you could see that. You could see how they move on it. I'm saying, how do they recovering so quick? You see Misty May on the ground diving for a ball, and she gets up and she's spiking the ball. It's unbelievable how quick they are off that sand. You know it's not the regular beach sand. But I'll tell you, have you watched any of the games, Ron?
A lot of them.
But I mean, tremendous. They beat the Chinese that were picked to win the gold medal. They had beaten them, I think, 3 previous times this year, beating the Americans. And it was unbelievable, just unbelievable competition. I mean, a lot of people said that was the best event of the whole year.
Well, the players' anticipation, their ability to judge where the shot is going to go, and rotate strategy is really phenomenal.
But I watched the beginning of that match, and they were down 5 points. I think they were down 11-6. I was saying, there's no way they're going to beat this team. This Chinese team came out on fire. Everything they were doing. They were comparing the 6'3" girl from China to Kerry Walsh, who they're saying that she's the next star. And just Kerry Walsh and May just turned it around. It was unbelievable. And the ending was amazing. It was tied 19-19. As a matter of fact, China was up 19-18, and Kerry Walsh dove for a ball, two-hand bump, just got it over the net for a winner, and she had to go under the net because if you hit it, you lose the point.
Right.
And they won that point to tie it, then they won the next 2 points to win the whole match.
Well, next perhaps is Gabby Douglas, having won the all-around gold medal in gymnastics. I'm not the biggest fan of gymnastics, not because I don't think that they're great athletes. They obviously are, but sports that have judges are not as appealing to me as swimming, running, high jumping, whatever, because I always feel there's a certain amount of behind-the-scenes action going on among the judges.
Well, we were all into that because of Allie Reisman. I mean, that's the key. They played that 3-part special on CSN, you know, a few weeks before the Olympics, and everybody was watching her, and she was just amazing. She's just amazing on the floor event. That's where she got the gold.
Right.
But the team event was unbelievable. She was the last one on the floor, which was the last exercise in the team competition, and she was flawless there. But in her final event, that's a single event, she was just amazing. She I believe it was 15-7, which was beat the next person by 0.4 of a point, which is a lot.
Yeah, the tricks they do on the unevens and the beam are just incredible. I mean, I can't even imagine doing it on a level surface, never mind several feet off the ground on a 4-inch piece of wood.
But Ron, think of this, right? I mean, you could play basketball, right? You can miss 10 shots a game, foul, maybe have 4 fouls, turn the ball over 3 times and have a great game. You know, I mean, just think about it in gymnastics. You have one bad move. One bad move costs you.
Right.
It's unbelievable, the pressure that's on those players, the girls and the boys.
Well, then there was additional nuttiness from one of the news stations saying the Americans' uniforms weren't patriotic enough. They didn't have enough red, white, and blue stars, stripes, everything. I mean, there was a movement years ago to take away national identity off uniforms because it gets a little crazy, the nationalists, while we have the certain stations calling for more jingoism. We don't have enough Americanism. You know, we want to crush all these other countries. It's designed to be the purity of sport. At least I think so.
Yeah, but every day you watch on TV, you're saying the Chinese have 25 gold medals, the U.S. has 22. But the USA is ahead by 1 point, and overall, that's all they're talking about.
Well, for whatever it's worth, the U.S. went up because of track and field. China doesn't have a lot of strength in track and field relative to.
And they got, I think they finished up on the diving. The Chinese won in every diving event.
Well, you know, gymnastics and diving, they're very strong programs. Now, obviously, we have the U.S. swimming team. Lots of highlights there. Michael Phelps, what can you say? The guy, you know, came back from a serious depression to win another set of gold medals and set the all-time record. Phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, 4 more goals. I think he ended up with, was it 17 or 18?
I think 18.
18, 22 all around. So that's amazing. You get 18 goals, 2 silver, 2 bronze, I believe, medals. And then Missy Franklin, though, is my favorite. Well, how about, I love her.
How about Katie Ledecky? She's
15 years old.
She's 15 years old. Was at the 800, I think. So you have I mean, what's a 15-year-old kid? They're not even fully grown.
She blew them away.
I know, it wasn't even close. She set a world record. Oh, she just fell short of the world record. But you think about what the future is. Now, the girl's tall. I mean, she must be at least 6'1", because she stands next to the other people, and she's, you know, incredible. But anyway, terrific athletes. And
Missy Franklin won 4 more goals, 4 goals, too.
And today we had the U.S. women's soccer team avenging their loss in the World Cup to Japan. 2 goals, I think, by Carly Lloyd. And, you know, that excitement there for soccer fans.
They had a lucky win the other day, though. Was it Canada?
No, yes, it was Canada. And on the internet, I see people from Canada basically calling it a fix, saying the referees were, you know, paid off by Americans. And, I mean, I don't know.
Why? Because of that header?
No, because of the call on the goalie for holding the ball too long.
Oh, yeah.
They never call that. I've never seen that called.
More than 10 seconds or whatever? How many?
6.
6 seconds?
But I've never even seen anybody counting it off. So, I mean, it doesn't mean it's not a rule, but, and then of course we have kind of an interesting story out of Jacksonville where Aaron Ross, the cornerback, had his wife, Richards Ross, Sonia Richards Ross, winning the 400, and apparently they showed it live via some kind of video feed to the Jacksonville fans and players, and you know they didn't know what was going to happen, and that was apparently a big team building event for the Jaguars.
Yeah, and they let him go. I mean, they just
Right.
signed him, right? He was with the Giants, wasn't he?
I'm not
For 2
sure.
Super Bowls.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with the Giants for 2 Super Bowls. He was a free agent this year. He signed with Jacksonville, and they let him go out there to watch his wife. Yeah, I saw that in the stands. It was amazing, and that was great. Jacksonville let him do it.
Well, and tomorrow the men's basketball team will have a tough game against Argentina. Argentina, terrific international team. They're the only team that's beaten the U.S. more than once. They have some outstanding NBA players and other players who are not necessarily so outstanding, but they play really well together.
You know, I'm a little worried about that team. I'm not worried about the women because they play the game the way you're supposed to play it. And no matter, I mean, even if they have a bad game here, they just play the game right. Play great defense. They can read, but they can do everything. The U.S., the problem they have is that when Chandler gets into foul trouble.
Well, that's what I was going to exactly say, that Tyson Chandler is a very underrated player.
And he's always in foul trouble, right? He doesn't use his head. The other day, someone's going for a layup. He goes in there from behind and tries to crash him.
Well, the other point they made, which I think is a good one, and Doug Collins is terrific on analysis. He made the point that, you know, the international referees don't care that you're a star in the NBA. They're just calling the game. So if you commit a foul, they call a foul.
And they're not calling cheap fouls. They're letting a lot go compared to the NBA. I mean, the NBA lets, you know, the stars play.
LeBron hammered a couple people yesterday.
Did he push? See the guy that was covering? He pushed them out of the way. They didn't call it. But they let a lot go. I mean, there's only 5 fouls. That's the difference between 6 and the NBA. But Chandler worries me if he gets in foul trouble. You know, and Argentina plays that game. You know, if the U.S. team thinks they're going to go out there and beat them with 3-pointers, if they're not hitting their 3-point shot, how are they going to score? Well, you know, they're not going to get that many off the defense. Their defense, Argentina's too smart. You know, Ginobili and the rest of them, Scola.
Well, Collins made a great point. He says that LeBron James, when he's in the wing or the corner, he pretty much looks to set up plays, often throwing so-called skip passes over the defense for long threes on the weak side. If he's out front, he tries to drive, but he said most of the teams will just approach that by playing a 1-2-2 and take away the drive. Now, James is a great player. He got one shot off. He really fouled. Looks like he was going to pass, and he turned it into a shot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. I think it's going to be within 7 or 8 points.
Well, here's what it comes down to, Ron. If they're hitting their shots, you know, they don't have to work as hard because they haven't been working extremely hard. You know, my feeling is, and your feeling, you penetrate into the lane, they come in and collapse, you kick out, then you hit the shots. But when there's Durant taking, like, shots from 3 feet behind the line, under pressure, you know, and Anthony the same way.
Well, and until yesterday, Kobe Bryant couldn't hit anything. He got real hot yesterday, hit 4 or 5 threes second half, and really seemed to step up his game. They're going to need that from him.
But you know that they're better coached than the USA team. I know. I've been watching the games. They don't listen to Krzyzewski. I could be sitting there coaching. They'd be getting the same. And they don't listen to him. If they listened to him, they would kick the ball. They would try to penetrate, do pick and rolls, and really get the defense moving and then kick it to the open guy. Because that's their asset.
How often do you see more than one pass?
I know.
Hardly ever.
And then the times, I mean, I saw till Kobe got hot in the second half, he's going under his legs. He's going left, going right. He's not beating these guys anymore. And then he's going with a fall-away jump shot. So if he's not hitting it, they don't have big rebounders except for Love. I mean, Love's really come through for them. I think Love should play more. A lot of times Krzyzewski goes with a smaller lineup, and LeBron's their big rebounder, believe it or not, with Anthony.
Well, I did want to say that about LeBron James. Obviously, he won his first NBA title this season, and here in the Olympics, he's been a tremendous facilitator. Not only does he play tough physical defense on whomever he covers, he's been one of the leading assist men, and he had triple-double, I think, yesterday. It was just an astonishing performance, and he made, not only were they assists, they were really quality assists.
Yeah, but the best game is the U.S. women's game. I mean, you want to talk about basketball the right way. I mean, I love watching them play. And what stars on that team? I mean, they are unbelievable. They got Flowers back now. She was injured. I mean, you got Bird at point guard with Whalen coming in behind her. You got Taurasi. You got Moore from UConn.
I was really surprised at how effective Whalen was. You know, she's a lot better player than I gave her credit for. Moore's been a little disappointing to me. I thought she'd be able to give more. Taurasi is a great player. And
you see what Taurasi did? She goes up to Oriema. Oriema goes, she's mad at me again. I mean, they used to battle. He loves her. They're both Italian, you know. And I guess her father met him in Italy, I guess, when they were touring there, when she was in high school or something. And but she goes, she always gets mad at me. He goes, she always gets mad at me. She's the only player that he lets yell at him, you know. But she goes, so he goes, I go up there and I go, what's wrong with you today? We just won by 30. She goes, you're not playing me enough. He goes, I got to play everybody. Well, so he goes, now I got to play her almost the whole first half to keep her happy. But she's the best player on.
Well, my last comment is, you remember number 22 for the Dallas Cowboys, Bullet Bob Hayes. I bet Usain Bolt would look pretty good in the slot for somebody. He is
tough.
He's 6'5". He's all muscle, and he's the fastest man in the world. I bet he could be a phenomenal NFL player.
He can run as fast as he wants. He could set you up. He could set up a defensive back easily. With that quickness and speed and the burst he has. Did he win the 200 today?
He won the 200 today.
I saw something on TV where it showed like three Jamaicans. Were they first, second, and third?
Right.
Those relays are going to be unbelievable.
Well, we'll be right back after this next segment.
Athlete training tips by Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Scott Duggan back at Athletic Evolution for Athlete Tips of the Week. This week we're going to take you through our walking stretches. Our walking stretches are performed at the beginning of our 2-hour athlete performance workouts, immediately following our mobility and prep work. And then we'll go into our walking stretches, continue into our dynamic warm-up, into our footwork, and then into the rest of our workout. So we're going to start out with knee to chest. Going to grab our knee with both hands, hug our knee all the way to our chest, come up on the toes, get a little extra stretch. Don't want to have our athletes have our chest come forward. Pretty simple stretch. From there, we're going to go into a leg cradle. So for a leg cradle, I always tell our athletes, one hand under the knee, one over the ankle, big chest, big pull up at the top. So up on the side, it's going to go under the knee, over the ankle, big chest, big pull at the top, up on the toes. Progress in a linear motion, step by step. Want to make sure the athletes don't take too many steps in between. From there, we're going to go leg swings. A lot of complications on leg swings. Kids want to kick their legs as high as they can. They'll reach out. What happens there is their chest comes forward. They put a lot of stress on their lower back. They're not activating their hamstrings. So what we want to do is we want to tell the kids not to reach out with their arms, kick their legs straight up as high as they can, and then snap it back underneath us. Our chest wants to stay nice and proud the whole time. As the leg goes straight up, snap it back down underneath us. It's like a straight leg march. From there, we're going to go heel the butt. So this is a stretch. Important here, same arm, same leg, and we want to grab our ankle, not our foot. If we grab our foot, we put too much stress on our ankle. Our ankle be at risk for injury. Obviously, we never want to injure our ankle doing a walking stretch. So same arm, same leg, grab our ankle, not our foot, pull our heel to our butt, reach up, opposite arm, up on the toes, same thing. We're going to progress as we go in a linear motion, not too many steps in between. Big thing here is we don't want our knee to drift out. When we go into a stretch, we want to keep our knee as close to our other knee so everything's nice in line and we can really stretch our quadriceps. Up on the toes, back up, reach opposite arm. From there, we're going to go into inchworms, try and hit our hamstrings. So we're going to start in a push-up position. Going to take little steps on our toes, try and walk our heels all the way up to the ground, get a nice hamstring stretch to the top, and then walk our hands back down until we're in a push-up position. Little steps back up and progress all the way down. Usually I won't have an athlete go the full 10 to 15 yards as I would with the other exercises because it takes so long for inchworms. So usually I have the athletes do about 4 to 6. then walk out the rest. Finally, we're gonna end with Spider-Man. Spider-Man, same exact thing as inchworm, start in that push-up position. We want a nice straight line from our head to our heels. We don't wanna pick our butt up, and then we're reaching our foot all the way up until my athletes try and step on their pinky, and then we're gonna drag the back leg as we walk our hands out. Big mistake we'll see here is when the athletes, they'll either not reach far enough or they'll reach too far out. Want to make sure we're stepping on that pinky, and then we don't want to raise our butt up as we walk. We want to make sure that we drag that back leg as we walk our arms out back to the push-up position and progress all the way up. So that concludes our walking, stretching warm-up. We'll be back in just a second. We're going to take you through some agility drills in our 4-cone X drill. I'm back with Justin, one of our strength coaches here. He's going to demo and take us through our 4-cone X drills. In order to set this up, we're going to set up a 4-cone box. Pretty simple. All you need is 4 cones and some turf or some grass space or even some pavement. Set up in a box formation, 5 yards up, 5 yards across. Nice 5-yard box. What we can do out of this box is multiple drills. We're gonna stick to an X pattern. So the X pattern is straight, angle, straight, and then finish with an angle, and then finish with a straight, keeping that nice X pattern. You'll see in a second when Justin demos. What this does is it keeps the drills very simple and it flows nice and easy. So that way when the kids get up, they get the general pattern of the X drill, only we're changing up the motions they do in between during the X drill. So the first one's all sprints. Justin's gonna perform that X drill. He's gonna touch with his left hand, touch with his right over here, touch with his right on the straightaway, come back, touch with the left, and finish with a 5-yard sprint all the way through. Justin's gonna show us real quick. Go. So you'll see Justin perform the X pattern right now, straight away into an angle, and then he always finishes with a 5-yard burst. Coming up next, now we're gonna use that same X pattern, but now we're gonna add a back pedal and a sprint to it. So Justin's gonna back pedal the straightaways, and he's gonna sprint the angles, and he's gonna go around every cone. So now he's gonna line up on the outside instead of the inside, going around each cone. So back pedal, sprint. Good, and what we want the athletes to do on these back pedals now is we want them to sink their hips in their back pedal, fire their arms to change direction. Now we can work on their back pedals for sports that use these, such as football, defensive backs. Really good in getting transition from going backwards to forwards. Finally, last drill up, keeping that same X pattern. Now we're gonna use a 45-degree crossover run or a 45-degree backward crossover run. Very good for pass drops in football, linebackers, DBs, defensive linemen who are dropping into pass coverage will use this 45-degree crossover run. So Justin's gonna react to each cone. As he goes on the straightaway, he's gonna sprint the straightaway. When he plants at the cone, he's gonna do a 45-degree crossover run back here with his eyes back at that cone, then sprint the straightaway. Ready, go. Good, then touch, finish with a sprint. Ideally, if you have a bunch of athletes doing these 4-cone X drills on the 4-cone box, ideally what you want to do is not finish with a sprint. That way the athletes can flow one after another if you have a bunch of athletes. If you only have 2 or 3, you always want to add that sprint so they can get used to changing direction, going into a full sprint at the end. Those are 3 of about 15 to 20 drills we can do just on that 4-cone box alone. Great for athletes to pick up. They can do outside of the gym. All they need is 4 cones and about a 5-by-5 yard space. We'll be right back to finish up with a hip dominated exercise out in the lifting area. We're gonna finish up this week with a hip dominant exercise. Very important to sports like football, where you use your hips on almost every play. You'll hear coaches say, bring your hips to the block, bring your hips to the tackle. So what this exercise does is it gets athletes familiar on how to activate their hips, bring their hips all the way through to full hip extension. Also, it gets great glute hamstring exercise to accompany, and it's a body weight exercise. Athletes can do this at home even if they don't have a leg curl machine or a glute ham machine to activate those hamstrings and glutes in the lift. How we're going to do this, we're going to start athletes' shoulder blades pinned up against the bench right here, His arms are nice and free, relaxed, so he wants to rest them on the bench with all his pressure on his back, his upper back. His toes are in the air, his heels are dug into the ground, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna bring his hips all the way through to full extension, squeeze his butt at the top, that way he knows he has full extension, come all the way back down close to the ground as he can, and come all the way back up. Big mistakes we'll see here is athletes won't come all the way through like Josh is doing right now. Squeeze your butt through, that way we know our hips are all the way through. If our butt is squeezed, our hips are at full extension. Another thing, you'll see the athletes, either they won't have their toe up, they'll have their toe on the ground, or they'll actually have their toe wedged on the ground and their heels pointed up. From here, what we can do is once an athlete gets good at this, gets used to activating their hips, bringing their hips all the way through to full extension, squeezing their glutes all the way through to make sure their hips are at full extension. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take away one of the legs, do one leg at a time, and make it a little bit harder. So now we're loading one leg. Same exact principles apply, toe in the air, heel on the ground, squeeze that butt all the way through for full extension, back down, and then up. Do about 6 to 10 reps on one leg, then switch the other. You get good at this, we can go to double leg hip bridges, load up weight on the front, really start activating those glutes, hamstring, really load them up with some weight. But for now, we'll stick to a functional movement, stick to body weight. That's it for Athletes Tips of the Week. I'll see you guys next week.
Athletic Evolution staff of energetic, motivated, and certified professional strength coaches will help you get to the level you aspire to achieve. At Athletic Evolution, it starts with a purpose and ends with your success. Visit our website or drop into our training facility at 78B Olympia Avenue, Woburn, Mass. Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome back. Although you may not know it, tonight's our 50th episode of Let's Talk Sports. And we have a special guest, special mystery guest for our sports conversation. And he's being brought in right now.
We think.
So Jeff,
Right, we've made a lot of guesses, but we probably
Well,
aren't
they didn't
even
tell
close.
us who our guest is for the first time. Supposed to be a Boston Celtic expert, I believe.
Maybe it's lucky.
Well, it's not Doc Rivers. He's over in London.
One of the great pieces of Boston Celtics sports trivia is who created / designed and painted the Boston Celtics logo on the parquet? And the answer is somebody named Zangfeld Auerbach, Red Auerbach's brother.
Oh, he did?
He was not a trained artist, but he was able to create this magic here. We have a special guest.
how we doing, guys?
Hi.
Aztec Gino, Celtics
Hey,
Numbah
Gino.
One SuperFan.
Hi. Okay,
Let's
Gino.
talk sports, #1.
All
We
right.
got
We have Dancing Gino.
Kevin Garnett's favorite person.
Oh, yeah. KG, great player. Fantastic year, Kevin Garnett. One of his best seasons as a Celtics. Put up awesome numbers. Wasn't it awesome when Doc Rivers moved Kevin Garnett to play that center position? Turnaround season, right there, guys.
That was his best move.
That was his best move.
What do you think about him this year?
Oh,
You
listen-
happy with the moves?
Oh, yeah, I was excited to see KG coming back. And definitely is going to help Fab Melo, who we got in the draft. And, you know, we need someone to just help KG along. KG's a monster, as we know. So we have Fab Melo.
What do you think about Jason Terry?
Jason, former six-man of the year with Dallas, won a world championship. We need someone to fill the void of Ray Allen. We're still recovering from that loss.
what do
He
you think?
defected to Miami. That hurt us.
What kind of
But-
person was Ray Allen?
No, well, I mean, you know, hey, he helped us win a championship. Won banner 17. And, you know, we appreciated what he did. He moved on. That was his decision. We have to accept that and just build and get, you know, I think we still have a good nucleus. We have Paul Pierce. We have Rajon Rondo, who had an excellent season, proved himself as one of the best guards in those playoffs. I mean, after that, I mean, come on. You know, Rondo turned it around, and he's a leader now of the Celtics, the future of the team, guys.
Would you see in that Miami series? That's when I saw him really mature. What do you think?
In that
Rondo.
oh, definitely. I mean, that game, too. Remember that game? What did he put up? Was it like 40?
28.
Well, remember that game, too?
Yeah.
It was 40-something,
Yeah, I think he had
40-something points. Yeah, like
47
40-something
maybe?
points.
Yeah.
When did you start with the Celtics? Now, when did it all begin with you?
Well, Aztec Gino has been a fan of the Boston Celtics since we had arguably the best five in the NBA. Larry Bird, DJ, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and of course Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge.
Since I was a student.
Maxwell too then.
Or Cedric Maxwell, six-man also. And when I was a student in 1986, I came, to the U.S. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. So this is when I have my Aztec Gino getup. I'm trying to compete with you guys. But my Aztec Gino getup, and following the Celtics since 1986. But in 2008, I had an idea. I said, I wonder if I wore my outfit at a Celtics game. So I designed this outfit. I did the Aztec Shuffler. Next thing you know,
you became famous.
Boston.com, a Celtics blogger, Quap, posted on Boston.com a photo of me with his sister Marion, this unknown fan known as Aztec Gino. And I was born. Aztec Gino was born in 2008. And since then, I've been following the Celtics. But it's great, I love the fans. I love the Celtics.
Do you have season tickets, or do you get into the game?
I'm a second-year season ticket holder. I sit in section 16, row F. I'm actually close to the Celtics cheerleaders and Lucky the mascot, so I can help pump the crowd and get everyone all excited.
Have you met some of the players?
Pardon me?
Have you met some of the players?
Well, I've actually met them personally, but I sometimes, they're close in the area. So, like I do this to get them all pumped up.
So
when do you do your dance? When did you do that big dance that they show on the TV?
Or the
that's
dance?
the other Gino.
Oh, that's the original Gino.
The original Gino.
Yes,
that's the original
Gino.
Gino.
The original Gino from, the guy who started it all. And, there are many other, super fans. I'm just one of them. I'm Aztec Gino. There's Balcony Gino. There's Bob Marley. We have all these guys.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, we have all these, unofficial mascots, as we call them.
So have you got any national press picked up, ESPN.com or Deadspin?
No, that's actually a great question. Bleacher Report just did an article on the top 50 super fans, or should I say all of the super fans in the NBA. Aztec Gino came in number 3. I was ahead of Jack Nicholson. And I was also ahead of Clipper Darrell of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Who was first, Spike Lee?
No, there was a guy. No, actually, there was a fan. He actually has a spinal disease, so he came in number 1. And the number 2 fan was Spike Lee.
Spike Lee was too?
Spike Lee, yeah, of New York came in number 2.
So, who's your favorite Celtic?
Oh, that's
a
great question. Can I give you 2?
Sure.
Well, definitely I like the truth, the captain, Paul Pierce. Definitely a leader. I think he encompasses everything about the Celtics, a leader, wants to see us win, a gentleman. And of course, I don't know, tie between Rondo and Garnett. Garnett is a defensive leader. He brings a lot of fire to our team. He gets everyone all pumped up. And Rondo, I'm just so excited to see Rondo mature in front of us. Because remember how Rondo was when he first came into this league. Yeah, maybe he has a chip on his shoulder. If I was that good, why not? But definitely, I think Doc Rivers mentors Rondo, and hopefully Rondo takes some of that from Doc Rivers, and he has blossomed into a leader on the team, the future of the Celtics.
Have you gotten any inside information on Avery Bradley's recovery?
Oh, well, I hope he's fine. He's our defensive guy. Definitely 2 shoulder surgeries, I think. Avery Bradley.
Bangkok procedures.
Yes. So the last I heard is hopefully he'll be ready. Not sure if he'll be exactly ready for the beginning of the season, but we hope to have him there soon. Because he's definitely one of our defensive guys.
Is there a big basketball following in Trinidad and Tobago?
Oh, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we are known for our athletics. As a matter of fact, we got the bronze medal in the 400 meters. Right. I'm sure you guys following the Olympics. And Trinidad and Tobago known more for its athletics. Actually, in 2006, here's an interesting story. The World Cup tournament, which was held in Germany in 2006, Trinidad and Tobago, smallest island to qualify for the World Cup. And Aztec Gino had the pleasure of going to that World Cup in Germany and doing the Aztec Shuffler and getting all those crazy Trinidadians all pumped up in the crowd.
How long you been living around here?
Oh, no, I've been in Boston since my college days when I first came to Boston in 1984.
What college you go to?
Wentworth Institute of
Wentworth,
Technology.
engineering?
Good engineering school.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And,
great.
you know, decided.
So, where do you pick the Celtics this year coming? Where do you rate them in the
Oh,
East?
where do I pick the Celtics? Number 1.
Do you think they're better than Miami now?
Of course.
More talented? No, really? You really believe that?
Listen, we have Rondo.
Why are they better than Miami now?
Because we have Rondo. We have Rajon Rondo, arguably the best
Well, what
point
about
guard in the
LeBron
league.
James?
LeBron who? Listen, LeBron James.
Three-time
hopefully-
MVP, the
Listen,
three-time
LeBron
MVP.
James. Hopefully, LeBron James will never win a world championship. And we all had to suffer to see LeBron James win that world
Yeah.
title. That was enough.
I believe a certain way. Dr. Sen knows what I think, but why? Besides Rondo, why do you think the Celtics are better than Miami now?
We have one of the best coaches in the NBA, in Doc Rivers. Yeah.
Why do you think they're better this year than they were last year?
Well, because we have a good 6-man. Jason Terry is you know, former 6-man. You know, I think Jason Terry is a leader also, and we have Jason Terry. We have that guy, what's his name there?
Greenback.
Courtney Lee. Well, yes.
Courtney Lee.
Well, yeah, Courtney Lee came on. Courtney Lee brings some size. He averaged more than 11 points with Houston. What hurt us last year, as you guys know, is the bench guys. The bench with Bradley going down so early in the season. Listen, if Bradley was healthy, I think Bradley would have made a difference in that series against Miami. And just remember, we all 1 quarter again, we would have gone to the NBA Finals. That Game 7.
Why? What do you think about? You remember when they played the Lakers when they lost in Game 7 after being up 11 points in the 4th period?
Of course, who else?
And you remember this Miami game when they were up by 11 and against Miami in the 4th period and they blow it.
Yes.
To me, he's my favorite player.
Oh, who is? Sorry.
Pierce
Of
is
course,
my
the
favorite.
captain.
What happened to him in the biggest
Well, he
moments
was
of his
hurt.
career?
He was hurt.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, guy, we have a difficult time closing, putting teams away. We don't have that killer instinct like some other teams, I guess. We had an opportunity. I mean, I don't want to bring this up, but remember when we all had the chance to put away Miami in Game 7? They were in a home court, guys. That was it. We had done that, we would have won Banner 18. Back to Boston. We couldn't. We closed it. You go down to Miami. I think everyone knew it would have difficult to win that Game 7.
Well, you know what my feeling is this year? I believe, that's why I asked you that question, because I believe the Celtics have the most talent in the NBA this year.
Yes.
I think that they could be the best team. I feel they could beat Miami if things go right. If Garnett has the year that he had the second half of this year, especially with Wilcox and Green coming back, and then you have Lee and Terry playing with Rondo, and if Bradley comes back, they're a deep.
Well,
they're like San Antonio.
It's always about matchups, being able to deal. Now, Bradley is like kryptonite for Dwayne Wade. He really can deal with Wade to an extent. I mean, you're not going to stop the guy, but at least you can keep him under control.
You guys remember that monster block Bradley did against Wade?
Absolutely.
And they kept showing it on the Jumbotron and, replaying it. Bradley's an awesome player. I mean, I hate to say this, but one reason Ray Allen probably figured he had to leave was because Bradley was blossomed and has blossomed into a key player on the Celtics now. And, Doc preaches defense, and Bradley is all about defense.
I believe if things work out right for them, if they stay healthy, they could be a power this year. You may be going to those games and seeing them win more than 60 games this year.
Oh, I love that prediction.
Garnett's going to be the key, though. He's got to stay healthy.
I hope you guys could have me on the show again, hopefully at the middle of the season, and the Celtics are like 30-10 or something like that, and we could talk about that too, and bringing back Banner 18 to Boston. Yeah. We need a championship, guys. It's been a while since we had a parade. But how long has it been since the Bruins won? It's been 2 years. 2 years. 7 championships.
Well, the Pats are going to win it this year.
You think so?
The Pats and the Celtics. Who knows? You have the Pats, the Celtics, the Bruins. They could all win the championship. And who knows about the Red Sox if they get their head on right.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the Red Sox this year. I think everyone has sort of written off the Red Sox this year. But definitely, I agree with you. The Patriots, the Bruins, and the Celtics. We need that championship. We need that parade. The fans all need it.
So do you have your own website, anything like that?
Oh, yes, Aztec Gino. I have my website, aztecgino.com. When you guys have a minute, you should check it out. Actually, you asked me a question earlier if I ever met any of the Celtics players, and on my home page, it's a photo with me and Shaquille O'Neal, right on the home page of aztecgino.com.
And is Aztec Gino on Facebook and Twitter too?
Of course, Aztec Gino on
Naturally.
Facebook has over 1,000 friends on Facebook, and on Twitter, I have over 100, followers on Twitter also. I haven't been tweeting much these days because, like the off season, it's time to to get ready for October 30th. Mark your calendars. Celtics Miami, October 30th.
At Miami, right?
November 2nd, opening night at the Jungler. I call the garden the Jungler because that's where we go and we get everyone all pumped up, guys.
Where do they let you go? Where do they let you go?
You mean typically where do I
Yeah,
sit?
where can you go? Where can you go?
Well,
during the
that's
game?
actually a great question. Typically, I sit in section 16 row F, but I'm all over the garden or the Jungler, getting everyone all pumped up, getting them all excited. You guys know we have the best fans. Boston has the best sports fans.
Did you meet a lot of
in the nation.
fans there? Do you know a lot of people now?
Well, yeah, but of course, they all high-five me. I say Celtics #1. They get all pumped up. You attend a Celtics game, you want to have a good time. So I'm all there part of the entertainment to make sure everyone enjoys themselves and enjoy coming to a Celtics game.
You know Lucky?
Of course, luck, yeah.
Does he ever try to get you on the floor with him to do some
Yeah,
of those?
well, actually, I haven't made it on the floor yet. But in the stands, Lucky is a wonderful guy.
That would be unbelievable if you did that. If you went on the trampoline, jumped up in the air, spun around and dunked it. The fans would go nuts.
The fans would go, well, listen, when they put, the thing is, as a fan, everyone tries to get on the Jumbotron. There's no other feeling like getting on the Jumbotron and everyone cheers you. So, all of the super fans, myself, Balcony Gino, Bob Marley, and all these guys are always on the Jumbotron.
Well, we thought we'd seen it all, but not even close. Thank you for joining us tonight with Aztec Gino, and we'll have him back again sometime.
Nice meeting you. Thanks
All
for
right, guys,
coming
was a
in.
pleasure. You guys are awesome. Celtics #1.
Memo to the Boston Red Sox ownership. Get out of the way. Go back to your luxury boxes. Watch the game. Sign the checks. But do not meddle in baseball operations as far as what goes on the field anymore. Okay? Players can only serve one master. Two voices in the world of sports do not sing in harmony when leading a team, and that's in any sport. Okay? Bobby Valentine never had a prayer with this team when he took over. You know what? That's why Terry Francona looked like he probably is in for a lifetime supply of Mylanta when he left this team behind. And, of course, now he's looking wonderfully tanned and happy and all of the above. And Bobby Valentine looks like he threw up in his mouth. But I digress. Why do I feel this way? Well, Red Sox ownership, they may be good at spending money and shoehorning seats into ancient Fenway Park, but they suck otherwise. That's right, I said it. They do. Two words, loud and clear. One voice. Here it is. Coaches coach, owners own. Easy to understand, isn't it? One voice, one leader, one God, if you will. One person leads the team, and the team answers to that leader. There are assistants. There are assistants to the assistants, coordinators, towel boys, glad handlers, and a whole slew of underlings to the big cheese, the top dog in the company hierarchy. But you know what? He may defer, but it's his choice. Clubhouse leader may ask for opinions, but it's his decision to do so. He may accept suggestions. Any great coach depends on them from a strong supporting staff. But the final say will always comes down to how he sees the situation best handled. Isn't that the way it's supposed to go? Doesn't that sound like it might work? And believe me, the guy isn't always going to be nice to the people. That's the way it goes. You think it's easy to get 25 overpaid babies on the same page? And no, it's not communistic. It's the way a sports team needs to operate. You cannot have a divided locker room. You need a team and you need a leader. That's how it goes, okay? You have locker room leaders in the form of players, but you have one top dog, okay? That's the way it goes, okay? If the coach cannot motivate the team to follow him up the hill, then he should dutifully turn in his whistle, okay? That's the way it goes. When Valentine said, "Nice inning," sarcastically to rookie third baseman Will Middlebrooks, it was sarcasm. He made light of the horrific inning that the kid had. Okay, now any good coach worth their salt, is going to follow it up with a one-on-one conversation and say, kid, when I was your age, I walked uphill both ways and I tripped both ways. You know what? That's the way it goes. Okay? But of course, we still have the crybaby that went whining upstairs and Bobby was spoken to. Are you kidding me? Is that what society has made us into? Why does somebody always have to put themselves in the shoes of the offended and then demand that action be taken based on how they might have felt? You know what? This happened before. Remember Bill Parcells? You remember him, don't you? Very sarcastic and successful head coach of the New England Patriots. When reporters asked how receiver, embattled receiver, Terry Glenn was coming along, he said, she's doing fine. And Myra Kraft took offense to that and said, oh, I think that's terrible. And then Parcells had to go explain himself. Okay? You know, another one that he said, actually, was a running back that didn't hit the hole. He said, take off the high heels, son. I need you to get up in there. Okay? Now, that wasn't chauvinistic. He was making a point. Parcells was a damn good motivator. So was Vince Lombardi. It was said about Vince Lombardi that when he told you to sit down, you didn't go looking for a chair. Doesn't sound like a nice guy to play for, does it? His player loved him. Every player loved him. They would have died for him. That's what you need, okay? Bill Belichick. What do you think of him, huh? He's very motivational. Guess what? You never heard from Myra Kraft again after Bill Belichick came in here, unless it was to say something about a charitable foundation or how well she thought the team was doing. And the same went for Jerry Jones. Excuse me, I meant to say Bob Kraft. No, I meant to say Jerry Jones because that's who he was impersonating. He never impersonated him again once Belichick took over. One voice, one leader, okay? These guys are ruthless. Herb Brooks, he led the 1980 Miracle hockey team, if you remember that. He was ruthless. You want to talk about a motivator? He had those guys doing sprints until they were yakking on the ice, and then he said, get up and go back. Get back in line. Go. It doesn't sound nice. Well, it's not nice in the world of sports. You're making $1 gazillion. You have one leader, okay? Bottom line again, coaches coach, owners own. Red Sox ownership, go figure ways to make some more money out of Red Sox Nation. But stay out of Valentine's way, will ya? Let him kick some ass like he was supposed to do when he came here.
Welcome back. It's opening night for the preseason, exhibition season, practice game season, whatever it is for the Patriots as they host the New Orleans Saints fresh off Bounty Gate. I'm excited about this season, and thank goodness football's back.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, I mean, the team, I saw in the paper the other day, they said the Patriots have 8 players over 30 years old. I mean, you have 50-something players in your team. I mean, 8 players, and 4 of them are 30 and 31 years old. I mean, they are so strong this year. And I read today about, they're really excited about Jones. They thought Jones would be kind of a project this year, play him a little early. I hear he's going to be starting, and I heard he's going to be playing a lot. I mean, when they bring in their different formations, he's going to stay in there, I heard. That's how good he's been playing. And you know how good, what they're talking about, Hightower, you know.
Well, I think that the concept was that he was a tall, athletic, rangy guy, and they had to teach him technique. Apparently, he either had more technique or he picked it up really quickly.
Well, you know, one fan from Syracuse who called in one of the sports shows, he said, listen, he goes, people don't talk about it. He was always, 100% of the time, he was at least double-teamed. And 50% of the time, they had a back there. So at times, he was triple-teamed. That's how tough he was on teams. They knew against Syracuse that if you can control him, you know, you can run your offense. So teams just concentrate on him. You know, in the pros, you know, if they double-team him, then you have Wilfork, or you have Love, or you have Pryor.
Right,
You know?
like looks like they'll probably play more they're going to play 4-3, at least in the base defense.
Well, what do you think about Hightower? I've been hearing a lot about him.
Well, obviously he's a proven commodity from national championship defense, and they say he is a big, tough, physical, rangy, nasty man.
They say he's bigger, faster, and tougher than Spikes and Mayo. That's amazing. They say he had some problems covering the tight end from New Orleans. He's right there.
Well, everybody
with
does.
Gronkowski. But you know, he's a rookie.
Well, Jimmy Graham is, you know, another all-pro tight end, and you know everybody's going to have trouble with him. You're probably going to see 3 of the top tight ends in football tonight. One of the issues is apparently Aaron Hernandez's agent is trying to get him reclassified as not being a tight end to being a wide receiver, because if the Patriots try to franchise him, it's a huge money difference.
Oh yeah, well they'll do something there. It all depends what happens in the next couple of years. Doesn't he have 2 more years?
I think so, right. How do you feel about putting Hernandez back fielding punts and running the ball? It just seems to me you're setting him up for more concussion risk.
You don't put a star back there. That's ridiculous.
Put
you
Edelman.
Put Edelman back there, or one of the younger players back there who's quick. Let him work on that. You know, and at times, you know, maybe you bring a receiver back there, you know, Stallworth or somebody, if you want to make sure they're going to catch the ball in a key situation. But you don't bring a Hernandez back there, because what good is it having a guy like him returning punts? He's not quick enough. I mean, he's quick at the position he plays, but he's not as quick as these fleet receivers or, say, a safety man that some teams use. I mean, you're crazy putting him back there because, again, you need the quickness to get away from that rush.
Well, maybe they're just trying to give teams something else to prepare for.
What about Wilson? I'm hearing a lot of good things about Wilson.
Well, you know, we've talked before, and
he's a safety.
Right, you've heard about that ad nauseum, that because teams are in substitute defenses so much, you need 6 defensive backs, and other teams are going to throw the ball underneath, so you need bigger, stronger players to try to deal with that. Almost hybrids between conventional defensive backs and linebackers. So, you know, it sounds like the Patriots are happy with what they're getting from him so far.
Yeah, I hear that they like him. They like Gregory, and they're both going to be free safeties, the 2 of them. But they're saying that Wilson is getting more reps with the first team now. And then you have Chung back there at strong safety. They moved McCourty back to cornerback, and Dowling's been looking good.
Well, apparently Dowling's tall. He's about 6'1", 200, and he's got a lot of length, so he can knock down some passes. You know, people aren't wild about what's happening for McCourty so far, and you know, Arrington's in a new position in the slot. You know, I'm not going to be shocked if Sterling Moore is in there before too long, based on what he played late in the season.
Moore was tremendous last year. I can't believe that he's not going to be starting on that team. At the end of the year, he was he wasn't just okay, he was terrific.
Well, we'll see if Dowling can stay on the field. He hasn't been able to stay in the field in the past, so I don't know why things will be any different this season.
Well, they say he's been looking good. They're happy with him. They say McCourty's just been looking fair, but he's athletic, and they're going to give him. He's strong too.
And then, as we've said repeatedly, the offensive line. There's no Waters in sight. Vollmer and Mankins won't be playing for a while, so we'll see what happens there.
Well, they're saying Waters will probably come in after the second game. That's what I hear.
Okay.
You know, he's a veteran. You know, he doesn't want to go through this. He wants to save his legs. What I hear is he made an agreement with Belichick, and you know, not saying anything about it because they don't want the other players to start doing it. But again, Waters is a veteran, and he's not getting the money that Mankins is getting, or even Connolly now.
No, I think it's 1.4, 1.5.
Yeah, so that's probably the agreement. Hey, you know, I'm making 1.5. I probably should be making 4. You know, I'm a veteran. So that's the agreement they made. Mankins should be okay. I told you before, Vollmer's the key.
Well, there'll be a lot of interesting things to watch tonight. Obviously, the defensive coordination. The Saints have a great offense. Darren Sproles, hard to cover, little guy, very mobile. And on the bubble, we'll have to see the competition between Branch and Stallworth.
Yeah, I think Branch has to go. He did nothing last year, Ron.
It looks like he slowed down. You know, I'm leaning that way too. I know Brady likes both of them.
They're thinking either Stallworth or Branch, but you know, who knows? You know, Branch. I know Branch is Brady's favorite receiver of all time, but that was back in the Super Bowl days.
Right.
You know, those are over, and now you know you want to. This year is huge because they're picked to be one of the teams, or the team from the AFC to
well,
go.
you know, Lloyd and Welker are 1 and 2, and Gaffney is 3. So after that, apparently
they say Edelman's looking good.
Oh, I know, and that. I mean, Edelman to me has always had questionable hands, or maybe Brady's throwing 7-yard bullets on slants that he can't catch.
Right, and then you have Hernandez and Gronkowski in there too. So one of those receivers is going to have to come out unless you don't use the fullback. They're saying now, even though they signed 2 fullbacks, that they may cut them both because of the, you know, they have Hernandez and they always can move an offensive lineman to fullback. So,
well, and we understand so far that Ridley's had the upper hand, And the surprise has been Brandon Bolden, a free agent who, when Adai washed out of the conditioning run, that Bolden looks like he has a spot by default unless they bring in another back.
They say he's a strong runner up the middle. He moves pretty good up the middle. He's shifty. But they're saying that Vereen has been unbelievable in the passing situations. When Brady swings it out to him, some of the linemen said, you don't know what he's going to do. And I didn't know he was this strong. They were talking to one of the linemen today, and he said, the problem with Vereen coming out of the backfield, one of the linebackers, they said, you don't know if he's going to try to deke you or try to blast through you. He's very strong, and he's tough to bring down. So, and he's real quick. He's the quickest guy in the team. So, but he'll be in there, when Falk used to go in there. But what are they going to do with Woodhead now if Vereen's in there?
Well, one thing we can be sure of in the NFL, there's always going to be injuries, so you can never have too many good players.
But they're set all over, Ron.
Well, the offensive line could be an issue depending on the health issues, and of course the backfield, cornerbacks. I don't have that much faith in Dowling, and McCourty. I mean, he was hurt last year with the shoulder, so maybe he's better now. We have to hope for that. Well, we've been trying to avoid talking about the Red Sox, but I guess we have to say something. For me, it's always about player accountability. It's not enough to be a well-paid player. You have to perform at a high level. Adrian Gonzalez is pulling the Teixeira act this year in that he's piling up the numbers now that it doesn't matter, and he gets them in useless situations for the most part. And then Scott Boras has got to be crazy if he thinks he's going to get anything for Ellsbury unless Ellsbury starts to play like a guy who's a star player. I mean, hitting 275 with one home run, being a pretty good center fielder, doesn't make you a $20 million player.
But it's a shame, Ron, when you see it as a fan. You look at these players. Like Crawford got $20 million because the Red Sox wanted to make a statement in the name, get more fans in. Right after they signed him, I said he's not worth more than maybe $10, $11 million. That's what he should be getting, when we're looking at the monies. And then you look at the Yankees, right, with Sabathia. They give him $23 million because Sabathia had an out after last year. Even though the Yankees had him for 3 more years, he had an out. He could become a free agent. So Sabathia is making $20 million. He takes the out, becomes a free agent. So the Yankees give him $23 million over the next 6 years.
Well, at least he's pitching well.
No, he isn't, Ron. Here's what I say. He's making $23 million. Okay? He wins yesterday. What did they win? 10-7. They're right against Detroit. A good team, good hitting team, Detroit. They score 6 runs off him, all right? 3 of them were unearned. The game before that against Seattle, he pitches a complete game. Oh, there's Sabathia. The Yankees. Why don't the Red Sox have anybody like Sabathia? But Ron, he gets a complete game, gives up 3 runs. The game before he pitches against the Red Sox, gives up 6 runs.
Since performance-enhancing drugs left baseball, how many players are worth $20 million?
But just look at that, Ron. So people think Sabathia is great. He doesn't pitch against the Red Sox. Beat him every time I hit him. With that, you're giving him $23 million for what? To beat Seattle and not come through in the playoffs? And when the Yankees got knocked out the last 2 years because Teixeira can't hit over 200, and Sabathia can't win a game in the playoffs?
Among Beckett, Lackey, Lester, and Matsuzaka, that must be $70 million about. And what have they won? Probably 10 games this year?
What did we talk about? What was the thing we talked about when the Red Sox signed Gonzalez, when they traded for Gonzalez, and they signed Crawford? I said, they're idiots. I said, I don't know what the fans are so cocky about. They're giving Crawford $20 million when he should be getting 12. That $8 million they could have used on someone else, and if Crawford didn't, probably wouldn't have signed with them. But there's $20 million to sign someone else, and you don't lose. You don't lose other players. But then Gonzalez, you give $23 million, Ron, when you could have had Beltray for 15, whatever.
I think that they have a tough decision with Ortiz. Ortiz is showing he's breaking down with his heel problem. There's always going to be something else for the older player. Right. And then he's going to be getting, if they go to arbitration, another $15 million to be a DH who's hurt some of the time.
Right, that's the problem you have with Ellsbury. He's been hurt 2 years now. Right. You're going to say to yourself, we're going to give him $20 million, and every other year he's going to be out half the year?
No, so I don't think you can make that commitment.
But if they didn't give Crawford $20 million, they would have been able to sign Ellsbury for 12.
Well, I think that.
How stupid are they?
If I'm the Red Sox, Ortiz being the franchise name or not, I'd have to think really hard about going in a different direction. And really at this point in the season, it is not recoverable. I don't see any way that the Red Sox are making the postseason. I'd practically give away Beckett if I could, especially if I could get somebody to pick up some of his salary.
And you know, Ron, there's no real good team in the American League. There's not one team you would say is. You'd say there are a couple of good teams, but in the East, there's not one real good team. The Yankees aren't real good. The Yankees are average. The Yankee people, yeah, I'm a Yankee fan, and everybody thinks that they're a powerhouse. The Yankees have an average hitting team against good pitching. They're poor. You see it every time. You see what Verlander did to them.
Well,
you see what Hernandez did to them. They couldn't score 2 runs off Hernandez. This powerful team the Yankees are supposed to have.
Well, not many teams hit.
Well, the Red Sox do. The Red Sox always fight him and score 3 or 4 runs on him. Well, look at the Red Sox game. But you know what shocked me the other day? Since last September, these numbers are 15 and 27. You know what they are?
Beckett and Lester.
Unbelievable.
Well, no,
those are the 2 guys. If they were 27 and 15 like they should have been, the Red Sox would have won it last year.
I agree.
And they'd be in first this year.
And I don't know if it's all mental, if it's lack of caring, or just random poor performance. You know, everybody has bad years now and then, and you know, it's just been really incredible to see players who you think have a certain ability level. Who I remember Peter Gammons always said, John Lester wants to be the best. He wants to be one of the top pitchers in the league. Well, does he still care? I don't know.
Well, you know my feeling is he hung around with Lackey and Beckett too long.
Well, they
You
never.
know, remember, again, we talked about him crying after every pitch last year. Towards the end of the year.
That's true, and you do watch that. Every time these guys don't get a pitch go their way, they turn around, they don't want to look at the umpire. You know, it gets old. And it's like anything else. If the umpire calls a strike, a pitch 6 inches outside, and you bellyache, the next pitch is going to be 6 inches outside. It's going to be another strike.
The thing about these pitches now, again, the one problem in baseball is with the umpires, the outside corner. Because all the umpires are over the inside corner. So they have the inside corner down flat. They've got the letters down and they got the knees down. The outside corner, they're guessing every time, just from experience, okay? And they're giving it to the pitcher more times than not. So unless it doesn't get a pitch that's an inch or 2 outside, he pouts.
Well, I know, and we talked about Valentine was brought in to be an authoritarian, a task-oriented manager, and basically everyone's cut the legs out from under him. He gave Middlebrooks a hard time about the nice inning kid. You know, I remember when Belichick said about Don Davis, who was a linebacker / safety for the Patriots, he looks like a cow on ice. And, you know, if Belichick says it, then it's okay. If Valentine says something negative about a player, or Youkilis doesn't look like the same guy, well, he didn't look like the same guy when he was on the Red Sox.
But you know what's really sad in sports now, Ron? I'm seeing it more and more. These teams want to get good so bad. I mean, the teams that are fair, the teams that are pretty good, they're giving these free agents who are not worth it. Now, people say, well, whatever you give them, they're worth it. But you got Lackey in the when the Red Sox had Lackey. Good, steady pitcher for the Angels, okay? Was steady. You know, he'd go 15 and 10, 15 11. You know, so the Red Sox say, okay, how are we going to get him? We have to give him $18 million to come to us, where California would probably be signing for 15. So we have to offer him 18. So now they offer him the 18 just so they'll get another starting pitcher who's worth 14 or 15.
Well, we can just be thankful that Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente,
Juan Marichal,
Gibson, Koufax, Gibson don't play anymore because they wouldn't have enough money to pay these guys because they were so far superior to the contemporary players.
But that's why I get upset. You know, I'm all about coming through in the clutch run. Like, you know, as a Yankee fan, Teixeira. You know, I'm all about, you know, in the playoffs is when we need you. And they hit under 200 3 years in a row, making $18 million. That doesn't do it. I never, you know, I mean, as a fan, I'm really upset at him. And like Sabathia, like you as a Red Sox fan, you think Sabathia, oh, he'd be great in the Red Sox. Well, he's making $23 million. Cannot beat the Red Sox. Cannot win in the playoffs. Okay? Can't beat Detroit. Can't hold Texas down. They'll score 5 runs, 4 or 5. You know, he's supposed to be the stopper. And what are they talking about Sabathia? Like he's the greatest pitcher. Watch him. He pitched. Oh yeah, Seattle he'll beat.
Well, Darvish was in the other day. To me, he looked just another guy.
And he's getting big money too.
I know, but he didn't look great.
No, because his arms went down, just like Aceves for the Red Sox. His arms going, and they don't understand it.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.